In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
Here. Welcome on into the No Off Days podcast. Chris Cato to my left. We got BK in the booth. I am Scott Smith, and we got a big show planned for you today. We have a little revealing to get to.
Yes. All of our listeners, our viewers, however you consume the show, you also consume a lot of sandwiches, and you guys were so eager to vote in our first ever Sandwich Showdown, our bracket-style tournament, to see which sandwich is truly the king of all out there.
Now, I didn't bring any sandwiches in today, and I don't think you did. BK, did you bring any sandwiches? Because I think that the idea was that we were supposed to eat every week that we were doing this tournament.
Right.
Was that it?
And I think it was your turn.
I didn't pack dinner tonight because I thought we were eating sandwiches.
Oh, I ate my sandwich already for lunch.
Sorry, was
guys.
it a tomato sandwich?
It was a turkey sandwich.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you mayo? Just mayo?
Mayo and turkey.
Okay.
With some pepper. Yeah,
No
man.
cheese?
Awesome.
No?
No cheese.
Okay.
That one was not in the field of 16,
Yeah,
by
That
the
did
way.
not
turkey
make
sandwich
that
didn't
was
make it.
first 4 out or something
BK's
like that.
turkey sandwich.
You know what? You know what should have been in the bracket, or
What's-
at least consideration, and it didn't even dawn on me.
An ice cream sandwich?
The gobbler.
Oh, the
The
gobbler.
gobbler.
Yeah.
It's a seasonal favorite.
It is a
Yeah.
seasonal favorite.
For us Wawa eaters.
How can we forget that?
Well, we can do a Thanksgiving side dish bracket or something.
Although
and put
I'm
that
not
in.
even sure that the gobbler beats out the Thanksgiving pizza that we had.
Oh, that was epic.
The pizza was,
I
was
want
much
that
better.
for my Thanksgiving dinner this Thanksgiving. What?
All right.
You have a sandwich on your shirt.
I
You
did.
spilled,
Yeah, I got a little
spilled
grilled
your
cheese.
grilled cheese.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
I'm showing my cards a little bit, who I'm kind of pulling for.
He
here
makes
in
them
the
at
early
night, Brian.
Yeah. Well, if you know, you know, right? All right. So tell the good people at home, since we have a lot to get to on this week's show, what we have planned.
Hey, the women's Final Four is here in Tampa this weekend, so we're going to talk to Rob Higgins, Executive Director of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, get his thoughts on the whole tournament. It's a huge deal, man, coming to town, and he's the man behind it. He's a point man.
Fourth time.
Yeah. Oh,
More than any other city has hosted the women's Final Four.
Is that right?
Yep.
no
4
one
times.
crowns
Wow.
a women's basketball champion like the Big Guava.
And the men's tournament, I believe, is coming next year. So, yeah, I mean, among the many things that this area does,
The Final
and
Four?
does well.
I think that one of the regionals is coming
Oh,
next year.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's what I meant.
Either way,
Yeah. We got hoop.
bring it on.
All right,
Yeah.
so we'll talk to Rob.
Talk to Rob, and then we'll reveal the what we call it, the Elite Eight, the Edible Eight for
I was
the
thinking,
sandwiches.
I was playing with Elite Eat. What if we
Elite
called it
Eat?
the Elite Eat?
Okay.
The
Or Elite 8
yeah.
ATE.
The Eatin' Eight.
Yeah, we got Rob. We got Ron. Sorry, with Rob we will have later, but Ron is saying the Elite 8 ATE.
Okay,
Oh,
I like that.
I like
the
that.
Elite 8 ATE.
I like that, the Elite
Perfect.
8.
That's why we pay
Good
Ron.
job,
He's
guys.
also running the jib tonight.
Yeah.
Wow. Get a lot
right.
out of Ron these days.
I mean, he makes kitty litter cakes. He comes up with funny puns. He can work a jib. He can do it all. All right, very good. We will catch
Thanks,
up with
guys.
you momentarily, BK. If you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/NODPOD. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, take out your phone. You can zap the QR code, and there it will send you to all of our shows. We invite you to subscribe. Please give us a 5-star. Share it with your grandmother. She will love this show. fox13news.com/NODPOD. So a lot to get to, and, you know, of course, we kicked off the baseball season last week, but now we're about a week in, so it's time to kind of digest what we've seen. And from a local picture, it's, of course, the big story has been Rays games at Steinbrenner Field, right? So they start the season out, and as we tape this, 4 consecutive sellouts to get the thing started. And I know it's just over 10,000 fans, so we're not asking for a lot, you know, in terms of attendance. But I was able to attend the first 2 games, so I covered the first one and then took the family to the Saturday game. And, man, I got to tell you, I loved the atmosphere. I loved the environment. I don't know if it was just because the weather was perfect. It's outdoor baseball. There is something different about outdoor baseball. It just, I mean, you go to the Trop, and for the luxury of air conditioning, you sacrifice a lot. And that just kind of, I don't know, the connection of what time of day it is.
It's like being in a casino. You don't. Yeah,
It
you,
is.
You walk out and
Minus
it's still
all the cigarette smoke. Yeah.
beautiful sunshine when you walk out of the Trop. So what do you think? I've not been to Steinbrenner, but I guess my question would be, when you have a full house like that, even though it is, you know, a little over 10,000, it still seems packed, right? So was it loud?
Yeah.
Did it feel like an electric environment?
It did. The crowd's engaged. It's right on top of the dugouts, right on top of the fans. I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house. So, and on the secondary market, I gotta be honest, I mean, some of these ticket prices, I know, for as much as we talked about ticket prices being an issue because you're condensing the amount of seats, Man, there were some cheap tickets on the secondary market, right around the $20 range. So I don't know. I mean, there's really not an excuse to get out there and attend some of these games. And I'm not doing this just to, push anything for the Rays. I'm just saying, like, man, here's an opportunity for all the people that have said all these years, hey, bring it over to the Hillsborough County side. This is where it's got to be in order for baseball to really work long term. Well, now's the sample size, right? So I think that in baseball right now you have two minor league parks that are being featured, the A's in Sacramento and then the Rays in Tampa. And look, there's different reasons why both ended up the way they are. And perhaps the A's are kind of this cautionary tale of what happens if you don't have your stadium situation locked down. So perhaps we're talking about that one day for the Rays if we can't figure this thing out within the next couple of years. But the Rays are there by not of their own doing. Obviously, Hurricane Milton is the reason that they were forced to play at Steinbrenner Field. And so they've made the best of what was a less than ideal situation. But, man, I'll say if there's something that maybe baseball or people that are considering stadium plans down the future, they could take away from this, I think they should be paying attention to the kind of engagement that you're seeing. Baseball's a different sport. It's not... it's not football, right? Where people will get up for, 9 Sundays a year, and they'll pack out a 60,000+ stadium. Like, baseball is a bigger ask, right? Yeah. 81 home games a year. And if you're coming to outdoor baseball in Tampa, some of those games are going to be in the middle of the summer, and the weather's not going to be fun. But I think just the idea of smaller venues, boutique ballparks, kind of has that like a neighborhood ballpark type of feel. I mean, at Steinbrenner, you got Dale Mabry right there. If you're watching on the broadcast, you're seeing cars run that light right there.
It's not a cozy neighborhood. Yeah,
no, it's not a cozy neighborhood, but I'm saying it's like it's not this built-out sports complex that has restaurants and all this kind of stuff. Which I get it. Like you're trying to attract people into a certain area, but like Wrigley and Fenway, and these were built in neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And so there's just something about baseball that, I just think is special in that way. And I think that maybe it's an idea for the future. Like smaller is, in some ways, it can be better, especially in a market like this. Yeah. Right? I was looking at some of the numbers in terms of attendance and so Miami's Lone Depot Park, built in 2012, 37,000 capacity. Its attendance last year was 13,000. It was the worst in all of baseball. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you got 24,000 empty seats. What does that do to fans that attend, right? You might be able to appreciate the quality of baseball on the field. Maybe not if you're a Marlins fan, but you may be able to appreciate baseball and being able to watch it. But people go to games for more than just baseball. I mean, I know this is shocking, but it's like you're a part of something, right? Whoa. That's why going to like a playoff game feels so much bigger because like the electricity is there, the fan engagement is there. That sticks with you. And then I look at like a park like Cleveland, right? So they were 20th. The Guardians were 20th in fan attendance last year, so the bottom third of the league. And yet they have the smallest capacity stadium in Major League Baseball, 35,000. And they're selling out. They're selling on average 24,000 tickets a night.
Okay, so 30% of your stadium's empty.
Yeah, but I mean the percentage wise, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like you want the percent, whatever the seat capacity you have, without tarping off an upper deck like the Trop does. Right. Because I mean the Trop's actual attendance is like 43,000. Then you tarp off the top and it's 25K. But I think look, whenever they do decide to build a new stadium here in Tampa, my push would be smaller. Make it smaller. Even if that means in the biggest venues when you have all-star games or you have playoff games and you want more tickets, like think the bigger picture and what it's going to feel like during the regular season, those 81 games. And I would say right around 25,000. I mean, I think would be better. I think that'd be get it closer, even like reducing the foul territory, which is, Steinbrenner has essentially no foul territory. Like the ball's hit. If it's not fair, it's a fan is catching it.
Yeah. So I do think it's like you said, it's a small sample size though, and we need to see how the weather is going to.
I'll change my tune.
Affect these home games.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of the other big headlines in baseball is the rise of the torpedo bat.
That's why I wore my Batman shirt.
Is that it?
I knew we were going to talk about bats. You were waiting for the connection. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So this torpedo bat, I mean, it looks kind of like a cavemanish type of bat. They're just basically, they're shifting the sweet spot of the bat closer to the hand. So they were thinking, well, some smart people are saying, why is so much of the meat of the bat at the end where you don't want to hit the ball, and maybe closer to the hands is where you want a bigger sweet spot. And so they just kind of shift the weight down, so it's like oblong. It gets wider north of the handle, and then it's
a club.
Thins out a little bit. But the Yankees use it, and they clubbed like 15 home runs in that first opening series, and 9 of the home runs came off the torpedo bat. So it was 5 guys that are using it. So they've apparently been using it here and there, and even a couple guys on the Rays have used it. Junior Caminero has used it. I think he used it in the spring. I don't know if he's using it in the regular season. Ron, are they using it in the regular season? He doesn't think so, and he knows.
He usually knows,
Rays. Yeah. But I think it's going to grow in popularity if we see numbers like what happened with the Rays, right? Any competitive advantage. But do you have an opinion on whether or not this is a fair addition to Major League Baseball?
Well, yes, if all teams can go out and buy these bats, then yes, it's fair. I just don't know if it's fair to pitching. It almost depends. Is this a pushback from, we've seen offensive numbers decline in recent years in Major League Baseball. The league median batting average is down the last few seasons. It keeps going down because the pitching has gotten so good. You have these specialist pitchers. You have these teams that bring in guys and kind of do a bullpen rotation. And, it's taken a lot of the offense out of baseball. So I do wonder if this is part of the pushback, is here you have teams saying, okay, here's what we're going to do, and we're going to give our hitters an extra advantage. And so I don't think there's a need to ban them, if everyone has access to them.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be this dichotomy that, like, it's not just team versus team, but it's batting versus pitching too, because pitchers don't want to have home runs hit off them because they're trying to obviously have great numbers and get a big fat contract. But, as pitchers try to adapt in, their higher velocity, higher spin rate, arm angles, shaping the pitch, like all these things, which ultimately leads pitchers to surgery, by the way.
Right.
Leads them to another Tommy John. But I don't know. I think that we will have to kind of wait and see what the results are, right? Like, I don't know if the torpedo bat is, if it's a real thing, gives a real competitive advantage. I know we all want home runs, but there's a lot to be sacrificed to wanting just more home runs. And I think part of the offensive dip is not just great pitching, but it's also like these launch angles that these batters get up there and they're just trying to tee off and hit home runs, so your strikeout rates are going to rise as well. But it got me thinking because, and it got you thinking really too. I know you've been thinking about this.
Of course.
It's just such a simple change. Like, why did it take this long?
Baseball's been around for 140 years. Why is someone now saying, let's make the bat fatter down here instead of having it all meaty up there?
So I don't know. Are there other changes that other sports can maybe adapt to keep up with the changing tide?
Have we missed something obvious? Is there a way you could change the blade of a hockey stick to generate more power to the puck? And you have these pucks that are now zipping like laser beams through the opposing defenseman.
Yeah.
I don't know. Our lacrosse sticks. What if you're out there with something like a fishing net? Like, you've got a better odds of catching that lacrosse ball.
Catch it, but can you then
it'd be hard to
you
toss it. Yeah,
part,
maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why are basketballs round? Have we looked at every possible shape of a basketball?
A diamond-shaped basketball. Yeah. It'd be tough for dribbling. Maybe then you outlaw, traveling is where we play fast and loose with those. I actually have come up with a couple what's good for offense and good for defense suggestions for a multitude of sports.
You got?
I'm going to start out with hockey, and kind of to your point, I'm going to suggest aluminum hockey sticks, right? So at first, it's gonna eliminate broken hockey sticks, which can be a hazard, and it's also gonna the velocity of the puck off of that stick is gonna be substantial.
You're gonna kill people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you cross-check somebody, that might hurt a little bit more, but that's good for offense, right? Good for defense. How about a hockey goalie gets crotch webbing?
I
don't know a better name for that, but like a skirt that is like kind of knee to knee.
Yeah.
So it eliminates 5-hole scoring.
A kilt, hockey kilt.
Something. Yeah. All right. How about in basketball? To your point, good for offense. In non-critical moments of the game, style points are awarded for baskets. So if you want to do a little flare on a dunk, do a little spin, you get some style points in non-critical moments.
It sounds like a video game edition there. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like NBA jams. Yeah. Good for defense, NBA has an adjustable rim for free throws. So it changes the shape, kind of more oval, like at the fair. You know, so the free throws become harder, right? It's like
those fair rims that are like 4 inches thick. Yeah.
Well, they're shaped like they look normal, but we know that they're actually like shaped like an oval. Right?
Yeah, they're an ellipse.
Yeah, they're all taking your money. Everybody knows it. I got a couple ideas in football. So good for offense. So how about a football that has a finned tail? Kind of like the Nerf gun.
Yeah.
I mean, those things, the fin tails, they get you better distance.
They
on
whistle
your throws.
too.
Yeah,
And you can make it whistle. Yeah. Oh, did you see the zip that he put on that one?
Or how about this? I really like this one. The goalposts actually have, on the uprights, they have bonus point locations that you can hit. If you hit them as a field goal kicker, you get a bonus point. So if you need like a 4-point kick, you can go for it. But it's very close to not being good too.
So you want to. I like this. You want to reward the doink.
Reward the doink if you doink it in the right spot.
If you doink it in the right spot.
That's the key.
This is great. Sounds like rules that the UFL should implement in the spring.
Well, we could try.
See how they turn out.
And then I have one that's good for defense, of course, as well. I call this the caged canine. So defenses have a caged pit bull or Rottweiler or German Shepherd, choose your breed, that will be deployed from a cage in the opposite end zone once a game that you can use, and that will track down any breakaway run or catch. So much like when we see those police dog training videos, like a dog attacking a guy from behind in a big puffy suit.
Right.
It's like that. Like you can send Fido out, like, release the cage! And then here goes this German Shepherd hauling down the field and tracking down Tyreek from behind.
That tracking down the cheetah, that would be some dramatic TV. I gotta say, I think it could work for about one play, and then the NFL Players Association would step in.
Yeah, I don't know, just some ideas.
I feel like the Cleveland Browns dog, they release it and it would just go to sleep.
We gotta adapt with the time change. By the way, so the NFL owners meeting's happening this week down in Palm Beach, and the tush push is still not banned. I know we were talking about it. It was one of the potential things that the Green Bay Packers had pitched to try to squash the Philadelphia Eagles' reign of dominance.
Who beat them twice last year? The Eagles beat the Packers twice.
So I would try to outlaw it too. So 16.5 of the league voted to not ban it, and you have to have 24 votes in order to pass it.
I thought they tabled it for a vote later.
That they did take a vote, from my understanding, and they're going to I don't think once it's shot down, it's done.
They're going to try to rally some more nay votes. Yeah, is what you're saying, like the Packers.
Yeah,
and these
they want to vote for the ban. I think you have to get the affirmative vote. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have a strong opinion on the said tush push?
I do. I don't think it should be banned.
Why?
Because I've seen the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stop it twice. I know not every team has Vita Vea in the middle, but it's stoppable. So. Why do you want to ban a play that's stoppable? And don't tell me it's player injuries. They've tracked, and there were no injuries recorded from a tush-push play during this past season. So
well,
I have trouble buying that.
I won't tell you it's injury-related, although the first one is too many, Chris. One is too many.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. All right,
no, can you use other players like to leap off of them to block a field goal?
You cannot leap off another player to block a field goal.
You cannot. No, you cannot. So you cannot use the assist of another person to do that play. Very similar, I think. But here's my bigger point. If forward progress prevents the defense from moving the ball carrier backwards, then the same principle should be applied to the offense. When you can't just sit here and we reach a stalemate and now I have
you keep
other
shoving.
Offensive linemen just pushing my guy forward. It eliminates, I think, the heart of what we're trying to do here. So I think that if you're going to say tush push legal now, we're going to do it, then what's to stop a defense from gang tackling somebody and then dragging him back 5 yards?
Well, we know that these rules, though, never benefit the defense, right?
No, they don't.
This would be the first time that they actually pass a rule that benefits the defense.
Yeah, so that's my case for banning the tush push.
I've seen it stop before. I know most of the time it's successful, but I've seen teams stop it. So figure out a way. Aaron Glenn said it's my job to figure out a way to stop it.
Well, that's what he's saying now because it's not banned yet. So he doesn't want to come across like a whiner. So most coaches probably won't weigh in on it because it's like, well, them's the rules.
You've had several have weighed in.
But I again, go back to the forward progress. Think through that a little bit. Yeah. The rules that apply that benefit the offense in forward progress, try to apply those to the defense then. Like if I reach you at a stalemate, like you can't then lay 600 pounds of offensive linemen from behind to push this guy forward.
Well, I think you could pass that rule, and still have, because I've seen plays where the Eagles run the tush push and there is no stagnation. They just completely surge forward. The defense doesn't reach a point where they stop the ball's progress. So I think you could have it both ways. If you want to say that, he stopped him, whistle blew.
What do you say we table this discussion?
You know what should be on the table? Sandwiches. Where are our sandwiches?
All right. Well, you know what? Coming up on the other side, we got to talk to our friend Rob Higgins from the Tampa Sports Commission because a lot is happening in the Bay Area this week, and we want to discuss it with him. Don't go anywhere. The NODPOD continues right after this. Welcome back to the NODPOD. We are still Tampa Bay here in Tampa Bay, Chris, and another champion will be crowned here in just a matter of days. Are you ready for this?
They're going to cut down the nets in the women's Final Four.
That's right. Here's my discussion with Rob Higgins, who I had the privilege of catching up with earlier this week.
Well, when it comes to game planning around major sporting events in the Bay Area, of course, I guess it never really stops. But the man who's in charge of putting on these great events here in the Tampa Bay area is, of course, the executive director of the Tampa Sports Commission, Rob Higgins, joining us now. Rob, have you had a chance to kind of catch your breath? It seems like last week we were just doing Savannah Bananas, and now we got the women's Final Four coming to town.
It's been a really fun run to start 2025. Even before the Bananas, we had the soccer match with Messi, which was, an awesome experience too. So we have been in a dead sprint for quite some time. I think we'll wait till probably middle of next week once the last visitor and NCAA staff member or whoever else heads to the airport. But we wouldn't have it any other way. Loving every second of it, and it's been an awesome hot streak for sure.
And I would push people to buy game tickets, but it sounds like you guys are already sold out for the big Final Four.
Yeah, sold out the fastest it ever has in the history of the event. I mean, you look at the growth and trajectory of the women's basketball tournament and the sport in general, and it's on a phenomenal and meteoric rise. So really exciting. But the great thing about the event, probably one of the biggest things that I love about the NCAA Women's Final Four, there's so many different fan events that you can be a part of, even if you don't have game tickets, and they're all free. So really, I think speaks to the partnership we have with the NCAA in making sure that fans, again, with or without a game ticket, are able to create memories that'll last a lifetime. I'll tell you the best way, I know we'll probably talk about some of those events. The best way, though, to do that and make your own game plan for the Women's Final Four experience is to log on to WFFTampaBay.com. And that has all the different events that'll be kicking off here in just a few days, and it's going to be a really, really fun week.
It's all centered around, of course, the action on the court, and the teams arrive on Thursday, and there's going to be a big welcoming event for that. But then
teams arrive today. Teams arrive today. I mean, that's the I know it's upon us. We were on a conference call this morning at 1:30 a.m. with UConn. After they had qualified and beaten USC, and we literally, it was like, wait, we're welcoming you today. This is crazy. So it's awesome to have all four teams. You work so hard on these events. We've been working on this one since the last time that left in 2019. So it's 6 years in the making. And when you finally get the four teams here, it just ratchets up the energy and excitement even more.
Well, and you got the heavy hitters too, because you got 3 of the 4 1 seeds, and then your 2 seed have to be UConn, who's been here just about every. Well, I know they've been in Tampa every year. We've had the Final Four, but I guess you're kind of shooting a big target there when Gino makes it. I think he's missed one in the last 18 years, something like that. He must love Tampa.
24 right? From our perspective, as you touched on, every Final Four that we've had, whether it was 8, 15 or 2019, UConn has been here. So can't imagine doing it without them. We're excited to have them in Texas, UCLA, and South Carolina. South Carolina was here back in 2015 as well. So we've got 2 that haven't been here, 2 that have, but it's going to be awesome. And the games themselves are going to be epic, that's for sure.
we kind of, those that have followed the women's game, you can kind of, I mean, there's been kind of these peak moments where you have star players that really catapult the notoriety of the sport to a next level, right? But obviously the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese kind of years really helped the sport. But now you got a player like Paige Beckers that's going to be the number 1 overall pick likely in the WNBA draft, and she's with UConn, and the Huskies come to town. Do you think that how much does that have to do when you look back at previous women's Final Fours and the pace in which those tickets sold out, the growth of the sport? Do you think that's what is things are different this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a few different things. I think the star power is incredible. You're now in an era where these amazing athletes can be marketed in a variety of different ways with NIL and their sports marketing partnerships and everything else. The TV coverage is phenomenal too. And then I think the parity, the fact that it's, no offense to the women's game over the years, but you had couple of the usual suspects all the time trading off championships, and now it's anybody's game this year. I don't think even the biggest women's basketball experts there are, I don't think could definitively say who the national championship would be. I don't think they could have said who's going to be in the championship game, let alone the Final Four. So I think the parity makes things really exciting too. The evolution of the game, all of those different factors. I think it's really a melting pot of different ingredients that is made for such a special recipe for the sport.
Seeing some of the video of like the latest install at Amalie Arena that you guys kind of had to flip after Saturday's game, and I know you guys have been through it before. It seems like we're converting a lot of things here. Ray J into a baseball field, Steinbrenner into the Rays home park, and now we turn a hockey rink into a basketball field. What are the complications with that? I mean, I'm sure at this point it's kind of you've kind of greased the wheel a little bit. You guys know how to do it, but the ice is still on, right? Like they didn't melt that off or take it away.
To that VSG and the Lightning, Vinik Sports Group and the Lightning do such a great job. I mean, they're really used to conversions. You think about the number of concerts they do in a year and different events in addition to so many great Lightning games. But I think it also speaks to the investment that they make and like things like subflooring and things that you don't see, that the systems they have to be able to ensure there isn't condensation, all of those back of house elements that maybe I think a lot of other teams can invest in the bells and whistles, because those are the things that they'll be able to monetize and that the fans will notice. But I think it's a lot of things behind the scenes that they continue to invest in, along with the Tampa Sports Authority and the city and county and everybody involved. We always want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward from a facility standpoint. And I think small things like what you noticed and have referenced in terms of conversions go a big way in terms of our success as an overall sports community.
So we got games Friday night. That's 7 back-to-back, 7:00. We have it's the Texas South Carolina game, and then we got UConn and UCLA to follow. So, but all around the games itself, you mentioned all these events that you guys have building up to the championship game. Give us an idea of some of those things that you guys are highlighting that people should be paying attention to.
Absolutely. There's so many different events. I'll kick it off with, Tourney Town presented by Capital One. That's at the Tampa Convention Center. That's running Thursday to Sunday. You could basically think of it as a college basketball amusement park built out inside of the convention center. Totally free, an awesome opportunity for people to come out again and make some great memories. Party on the Plaza is running Friday to Sunday over in Cotonchobee Park, immediately across the street from Amalie Arena. A lot of great activations, food, music, everything else. Super Saturday practice. That'll be the 2 teams that advance from Friday night. We'll have an open practice in Amalie on Saturday. So if you don't, again, none of these require game tickets, but if you don't have game tickets and you want to come check out the inside of Amalie Arena and see the 2 teams prepare for the national championship, what a great opportunity to do that. That one, you need to go on WFFTampaBay.com and click through and register to grab tickets before it's too late. Again, free, but you need to register and get tickets for it. Later on that evening, you've got the Super Saturday concert presented by AT&T. That's featuring Glorilla in Curtis Hickson Park. And then another great event, which is always one of my favorite events throughout the week, is the Women's Final Four Bounce presented by Buick. So basically, we're going to have over 3,000 kids kicking things off on Saturday morning in Curtis Hickson Park that are going to get a free basketball, a free T-shirt, and dribble their way down the Riverwalk and wind up in Town. It's quite the sight to see. Yes, we're going to have representatives from the Coast Guard in the water in case anybody dribbles it off their foot, like I would have as a kid. But we'll make sure those balls are rescued and back in the right hands. But that one, too, if you go on WFFTampaBay.com and register for one of those final spots that we have, is another great way to be a part of it. So if you think about it, it's like, wow, on Saturday alone, let alone the other days, you could be a part of the bounce to kick things off, dribble down the Riverwalk, be a part of Town at the convention center. You could then go over to party on the plaza at Code and then dribble your way back down to Super Saturday night with Glorilla in Curtis Hickson. I mean, again, without ever paying $1, you can make a lot of great memories all in just one day, let alone everything else happening throughout the week.
It's a lot of stuff. So that's WFFTampaBay.com. People can hear it, reread everything you just talked about, kind of make their own game plan for the week ahead. So that's awesome.
We are going to pause the conversation with Rob and pick it up on the other side. I want to ask him about the stadium series that's coming next year. We're going to have outdoor hockey at Raymond James Stadium, something a lot of us are excited about. That's coming up on the NODPOD. We are back on the No Off Days podcast. Last block, we had Rob Higgins discussing a lot of the Final Four, the Women's Final Four that's in town this week, which sounds like a ton of fun. So many activities for the community to come out, get involved, and for some of these, you don't even have to buy tickets to be involved. So but there's always the next thing, right? What's the next thing that Rob has on his plate? That is our conversation with Rob Higgins from Tampa Sports Commission continues. Take a listen.
All right, so now I got to get to this Stadium Series game because it feels like this was kind of like a little bit of a white whale for our community. Like we had been talking about it, the possibility, had to get with all the meteorologists in town, figure out what was doable. When you finally got word that, hey, this is done, we got this, how much of a relief, a celebration was that for you?
It was almost surreal. I mean, you had to pinch yourself to say, wow, we are doing outdoor hockey in Raymond James Stadium. And there's nothing more Team Tampa Bay than the Lightning playing in the Buccaneers venue across the street from where the Rays are playing this season. So pretty cool storylines. I mean, I look back and throughout the entire process, I mean, it felt almost like a pipe dream as we started things off with Steve Griggs and Mr. Vinnick and all of us basically in a room saying, hey, we need to make a real run at this. Eric Hart at the Tampa Sports Authority too. And at that point, we really put together our overall vision in tandem with that group and sent it up in Yeti coolers to the NHL to basically give them the symbol of we know how to keep ice cold down here as well. And then a couple years later, we hosted NHL All-Star over Gasparilla weekend. Stadium Series next year will be over Gasparilla weekend. And as folks headed to the airport, we had a message to the NHL that we want them to think outside the box and really consider us for this. And then a lot of conversations, a lot of weather studies, as you referenced, a lot of different meetings and site visits over the years to finally get across the goal line this past January, just a few months ago, to make this a reality. I tell you, the work leading into the decision was a lot, and certainly the work since it has been even more, but it's been a fun and fantastic journey. We had a group in Columbus at this past year's event, taking a lot of notes, pictures, asking questions, doing a lot of tours. We want to be ultra prepared for when the moment finally hits that we've been dreaming about for years. And I can tell you, it's going to be awesome. We couldn't be more pumped, and it's going to be a fantastic weekend.
I'm curious how much the kind of the tenor of those conversations have changed over the years when people became more and more convinced that, hey, this is not only is it possible, but it's going to be a great place to do it. I'm sure initially it's like Florida, like, and of course not. I mean, did the discussions change in terms of like the tenor over the years when it came to this?
I think it got more and more serious as technology continued to improve and all those different things to ensure that the event can go off without a hitch. So I think it was really to use a winter term, because everything we're going to do around this event's going to be cold. We felt it snowball over the years with the improvement upon technology, the continued conversation. We want the event to be a huge success. We don't do any event to do it once. We certainly want long-term relationships with these events and to be able to do them over and over. So, I think the conversation specifically with Steve Mayer at the NHL and Dean and so many of their, our great friends at the NHL just continue to get more and more serious over the years. And we needed to make sure everybody had a great comfort level so that we could all be 100% confident that it will be a fantastic event for not only the teams, but the fans and everybody in between. And we certainly got to that level here in the not too distant past.
We are really looking forward to that one. That's going to be quite a scene. Outdoor hockey nothing beats it. So I know you're always so focused on kind of what's coming to the community and that kind of engagement. But on a personal note, I know that you've been going through some health things. So would you mind giving us a little bit of update as to how you're doing individually?
Yeah, absolutely. So back on September 3rd, I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. It was following my first colonoscopy. The thought had never crossed my mind that it could be a possibility that anything was wrong. And then from there, we're so fortunate to have a great institution like Moffitt right here in our backyard. I did 6 weeks of chemo and radiation there, and just in the last few weeks, I was fortunate to find out that treatment had worked. And so now I'll go into a regular screening pattern. But the thing that I would want to share with your listeners is a lot of people think that the age you're supposed to get a colonoscopy is 50. It's actually now 45. Colorectal cancer is becoming more and more common, unfortunately, among a younger age demographic. So really important if you're 45 or older, to go ahead and get that unless you have a family history. And that's one of the things that candidly I didn't have a great feel for, was my family history. I certainly have learned it and now know the specifics, but I really should have been getting colonoscopies at a much younger age. So it's important to know those details around it. And then the last thing I'll say, unless you have other questions too, is I think we all are, seem to be really passionate about our jobs and certainly have a lot going on from a family perspective. So things like colonoscopies or other screenings are really easy to put off. And, I was guilty of that and probably should have been doing a better job staying on top of my own personal health versus, everything that, I love to get to do with my family and certainly what we have an opportunity to do with our hometown here and promoting it to the world with these events. And so you got to take the time. A lot of people say you can't afford the time. Well, you can't afford not to do this stuff. And so I think that's the last thing I'll share is just prioritizing your own personal health is just so important. I've learned that. Thought I was invincible going into this and certainly proved that I was not. But if everybody stays on top of your screenings, know your family history, and making sure you're doing the right thing on an ongoing basis when it comes to your personal health. Couldn't give any more advice. Would love for people to learn from some of the things that I probably was too negligent on.
Well, I appreciate that. And, honestly, we're in the same age bracket. And when I saw the news about you, it actually compelled me to go out and get checked as well. So I think, everything you just said, very important. It seems like it's like this, don't want to have to do it. But once you get it done, it's the peace of mind that comes with just the screening part of it and making sure that you're kind of crossing all your T's there. that really overall is easy in the grand scheme of things to go do and schedule. So anyway, kudos to you, man. You encouraged me, and it's such great news to hear that you're doing well. And you provided a lot of good news, not just on the sports side of things, but your individual health update. We appreciate that. WFFTampaBay.com. Get that game plan figured out, because there's so much going on here in the Bay Area this week as the women's Final Four pulls into town today. So we are ready to go. Rob Higgins, we appreciate your time as always, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Scott. Appreciate everything you guys do for Team Tampa Bay.
Much thanks to Rob Higgins. Up next, it's the moment you've all been waiting for.
The Elite Eight, ATE.
See, now we have to spell it out. That's the only problem. We got to work on this. That's coming up on the NODPOD. Welcome back to the NODPOD. It is time to reveal our Elite Eight.
Spell it out.
ATE. Okay, so viewers at home, we're trying to come up with what's the next. When we get to the Final Four, what are we going to call it? So
because
please.
we can't. Final Four is copyrighted.
Yeah.
Plus, that's basketball.
Send in your submissions. We can't come up with anything right now. All right, so it's time to reveal. Right, last week we set the field. It was a 16 sandwich field in the Sandwich Showdown. You guys at home, you voted. You voted often, and based on your votes, those are the sandwiches that are moving on. So here we go.
I hope we can live with this. If hot dog wins, I'm going to be
Northwest
upset.
region. It is Italian Sub.
Okay.
The 1 seed, but it was closer than you'd think. They got 59% of the vote, topping hot dogs 49% or 41%.
Really?
So there is still some people out there that are adamant about hot dog.
I voted for hot dog, actually.
There you go. All right, on to our 8-9 matchup. We have peanut butter jelly against Reuben, and this one was a tight one. But in the end, it is the big winner is the Reuben, the 9 seed. A mild upset, but this is kind of, people went savory over sweet.
What was the percentage here?
This was a 54% Reuben vote.
Okay. I'm a little surprised. I thought PBJ would take down, a sandwich with sauerkraut on it can be a little unliked.
Yeah, there's some strong Reubens out there. All right, let's move to our Southwest region, which is just south in this bracket. And we have our 5 seed, chicken salad against 12 seed pulled pork. And I was surprised by this one as well. This was kind of a runaway with the pulled pork. They came away with 65% of the vote. So the 12 seed advancing. Maybe they were, obviously they were underseeded, right?
I think so, and I knew this was going to happen. I had this one in my bracket. I thought pulled pork would pull it out, but that was a big margin.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a barbecue lover, pulled pork is the way to go. All right, we have a 4 seed grilled cheese against pastrami, the 13th seed. We saw Reuben advance, and Reuben is as BK pointed out, is also beef. But
they're cousins. Yes, they're in the same.
Steamed, not smoked.
Right.
Okay, grilled cheese advancing in this one, and I'm wearing the shirt, so of course I kind of had a feeling. Grilled cheese, 65% of the vote to pastrami's 35. Let's head up.
That was a blowout.
Let's head up to the Northeast region, where we had 6 seed egg salad taking on 11 seed grouper. Very popular grouper sandwich here in the Bay Area, and the local voters come through. And this was a blowout as well. Grouper, 71% of the vote. Only 29% wanted egg salad sandwich to advance. So both salad sandwiches are now officially out of the tournament.
Yeah, tuna salad would have gotten toasted too, because those are mayonnaise-based things, and a lot of people don't like them.
You're the only one here that doesn't like mayonnaise. I think mayonnaise has like 99% approval rate.
I'm glad Grouper made it.
Okay, let's head down to our 3-14 matchup. Club sandwich, the number 3 against 14 seed French dip, and holy moly.
Oh, no, really?
I don't think anybody saw this one coming.
Wow.
I mean, at the end of the regular season, Club Sandwich was sky high. They finished on a 10-game winning streak, and here they go into the tournament thinking they're on top of the world. They're going to be cutting these nets down, and it's French dip, and they're au jus.
As you called it last week, it comes with its own hot tub time machine.
It does.
Wow, this is a big upset. I thought Club would be one of those possibly in the Final Four, which we haven't decided what we're calling it yet, but in the remaining 4. 55
to 45% of the vote. So
wow.
There you go. We have another upset. Wow, we got an 11-14 matchup right there.
That's crazy.
Okay, let's head down to our final region, our Southeast region, and we had 7-seed BLT against 10-seed Cuban. Another local favorite is the Cuban, and that pressed piece of bread and sandwiches advancing. And that was a big lopsided event as well. We got the Cubans getting the 68% vote as BLT. And those bacon lovers, just 32%. How is that possible?
Well, it's possible because we're based in Tampa, and I could tell you.
Really? If this was anywhere else, you think BLT's
I don't know
going
if Grouper makes it. I don't know if pulled pork is, pork's big in our Tampa community. So I think the Cuban got the look. It was playing in a friendly home environment. Yeah. The home crowd behind it.
It would be like if USF was playing in the Final Four here,
Sure.
in our own backyard. All right, and then wrapping up that Southeast region, we have our 2-seed Philly cheesesteak against a 15-seed Monte Cristo. Most people didn't even know what a Monte Cristo was, hence this is the biggest blowout of the entire first round. Philly cheese, most votes ever. 82% of the vote goes to that Philly-based sandwich. So whether you like it with the whiz or the provolone, I guess it doesn't really matter. And which is a little bit of a shame because I think Monte Cristo, it's kind of like it's like the team that won their conference tournament out of the Sun Belt or something. It's like they're kind of punchy. Like
that was Troy this year.
Most people didn't see them. Most people didn't watch them. They weren't on ESPN. But Monte Cristo, we tried it last week,
and it was pretty darn good.
It was pretty darn good.
It was like a kind of like a fair food, though. But yes, I hope we did open some eyes to the Monte Cristo.
Yeah. All right, so let's reveal it. Here is your Elite 8 ATE, and these are the 8 sandwiches advancing. Out of these matchups here, Chris, what do you think is the most intriguing of these sandwich showdowns?
I want to see, it's that last one in the bottom right corner. I want to see if Philly cheesesteak can continue this juggernaut run it's on up against what we just pointed out is a local hero, a local favorite, but not a hero sandwich, a local Cuban sandwich. I don't know. That one could be really tight. I could see the Tampa people getting way behind the Cuban. Yeah,
my tummy was grumbling with that matchup as well. I mean, both had really strong first-round showings. I think the one I'm a little bit nervous about is, Italian Sub was a little wobbly in the first round.
Yeah. Hot dog did some damage.
Hot dog slathered it with mustard, and it's got some stank up on it right now, and it's gotta move on and face Ruben. I mean, that's a tough matchup.
Yeah, and Ruben, who took down PBJ, so I don't know how that one's going to turn out. That's a good one.
But I love all these. So we invite you to vote, and where you can vote is fox13news.com/contests. Again, you have until now and until Tuesday of next week,
right,
to vote, and I think you got to log in with different emails, but most of you probably have at least 5 emails.
Yeah, use the one that you send all your spam to.
We're not going to send you any junk mail. No, it's just a way of kind of registering each vote, and we try to keep it, honest. Like
we really do. Yeah. I only voted once, but you can stuff the ballot out there. There are ways to get around it.
Yeah, I mean, as many email accounts as you got, but we encourage you to vote, be a part of it, and then share it with others so that they can, the most passionate sandwich fans are going to win at the end of the day. Those will be the ones that are cutting off the crust.
Yes, we also want to invite any purveyors of sandwiches out there. If you have one of these sandwiches that you're especially proud of and you think Scott and I should taste it, then we're wide open for you to bring your sandwich to us.
I'll tell you right now, if you bring a sandwich to the station, I won't eat it.
I'll eat his.
I don't trust you.
Bring 2.
No offense, but I just don't trust you. There you go. So get to it, get to voting, and it's been a lot of fun. Much thanks to our guest, Rob Higgins, and we know that this weekend will be a smashing success. Already a sellout there at the Women's Final Four, and get to voting on the sandwiches because we are just getting started, my friend.
Yes.
We still have a couple more weeks of this.
And we need to figure out what we're calling.
What are we calling next week?
Remaining 4.
Yes.
What are our remaining 4?
Very good. All right. Much thanks to Ron, who's working the jib, and his contribution to today's show, and the kitty litter cake. As always, we're eternally in debt. And to Chris on the ones and twos, BK back in the booth. For Chris, I'm Scott. Until the next time we're on, there are no off days.
Is it the crummy quad?
Ooh, that's a good call.